when we consider the fact that all of Adam and Eve's children were one family, we understand that there was a brotherhood among the children of Adam who was the first fleshly son of Elohim. But due to the curse put upon Lucifer for coercing Eve to sin, the wicked had to be separated from the chosen seed. However, once the chosen seed began to mingle with those who were separated, it grieved Elohim to his heart that he had made man, and he destroyed the wicked with the flood, one of his weapons of war. Yet because Noah found grace in the eyes of Yahweh Elohim, a remnant was preserved to repopulate the earth until the seed would come who would bruise Lucifer's head, and once again the wicked will be separated from those who through grace find favor with Yahweh Elohim. Then once again the brotherhood of man will become a reality, and peace will be the rule among men. But let us go and see how the Almighty of Israel said he would bring these things about. I have this class entitled The Royal Priesthood. So Brother Steve, read the oracles of the church and invite him who stands at the door that he may come in and sup with us and us with him, that we may continue to read out of this great legacy and consider what we read, because our salvation depends on the things that we read and how well we follow these things.
I'm going to read the oracles of the church beginning at 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Be you therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves. For love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man hath received a gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as the oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yeshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you are sealed unto the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for the anointed one's sake have forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim as dear children, and walk in love as the anointed one also have loved us, and have given himself for us an offering and a sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet smelling savor. But fornication and all uncleanness, all covetousness, let it not be once named among you as becometh saints, neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather giving of thanks.
Hallelujah.
Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come into him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I also overcame, and am set down with my Father in his throne. He that have an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the church.
Amen. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says to the church and Holy Convention. I'd like to start our class today in the book of Exodus, Exodus chapter 3, and verse 1 through verse 17. Exodus chapter 3, and verse 1 through verse 17. Now, last week I started a series of classes that's going to last for about the next 5 or 6 weeks, so you might want to keep up with your notes pertaining to those classes. Exodus chapter 3, and Read verse 1 through verse 17, my brother.
Yes, sir. Now Moshe kept the flock of Jethro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian, and he led the flock to the backside of the desert and came to the mountain of Elohim, even to Horeb. And the angel of Yahweh appeared unto him in a flame of fire out of the midst of a bush. And he looked, and behold, the bush burned with fire, and the bush was not consumed. And Moshe said, I will now turn aside and see this great sight, why the bush is not burnt. And when Yahweh saw that he turned aside to see, Elohim called unto him out of the midst of the bush and said, Moshe, Moshe. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Draw not near hither. Put off thy shoes from off thy feet, for the place whereon thou standest is holy ground. Moreover, he said, I am the Elohim of thy father, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Isaac, and the Elohim of Jacob. And Moshe hid his face, for he was afraid to look upon Elohim. And Yahweh said, I have surely seen the affliction of my people which are in Egypt, and have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters, for I know their sorrows, and I am come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land unto a good land, and a large, unto a land flowing with milk and honey, unto the place of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me, and I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppressed them. Come now therefore, and I will send you unto Pharaoh, that you may bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. And Moshe said unto Elohim, Who am I, that I should go unto Pharaoh, and that I should bring forth the children of Israel out of Egypt? And Elohim said, Certainly I will be with you, and this shall be a token unto you that I have sent you. When you have brought forth the people out of Egypt, you shall serve Yah upon this mountain.
Now we understand that Moshe really didn't want to go unto Pharaoh, because Moshe had killed an Egyptian, and he figured that if he went back into the land, that they were going to kill him. That's why he said, Who am I that I should go? Later on he said, Well, I'm a slow speech. I can't speak well. And Moshe was an eloquent orator. And Yahweh tells him, Who made man's mouth? Say, Don't you fear. He said, I'm come down to deliver my people. And once again, there's going to be a coming down to deliver the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, which is a land of place of bondage, and set us back in the land again. And we can expect these things. We know that these things are on the wings of the wind. We can feel that something is in the air. We can look out and see what's going on with our people and with our children. We know that we haven't got long to stay in this place of bringing forth the children. But go ahead and read, Steve.
Exodus chapter 3, verse 13. And Moshe said unto Elohim, Behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, The Elohim of your fathers have sent me unto you, and they say to me, What is his name? What shall I say unto them? And Elohim said unto Moshe, I am that I am. And he said, Thus shall you say unto the children of Israel, I am have sent me unto you.
Thus shall you say unto the children of Israel that Yahweh has sent me unto you. See, before the flood, our fathers did not know his holy name. But after the flood, Yahweh began to reveal his name to our people simply because we were going into the land to set up a government, his governmental system here upon this earth. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 15. And Elohim said moreover unto Moshe, Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, Yahweh Elohim of your fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Isaac, and the Elohim of Jacob have sent me unto you. This is my name forever, and this is my memorial unto all generations. Go and gather the elders of Israel together, and say unto them, Yahweh Elohim of your fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Jacob appeared unto me, saying, I have surely visited you, and seen that which is done to you in Egypt, And I have said, I will bring you up out of the affliction of Egypt unto the land of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, unto a land flowing with milk and honey.
Amen. And we should pay strict attention to verse 15. It says, and Elohim said moreover unto Moshe, thus you shall say unto the children of Israel, the Yahweh Elohim of your fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Isaac, the Elohim that sent me unto you, this is my name forever, and this is my memorial unto all generation, that I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Let's understand that. Okay, chapter 18, in verse 9 through verse 19.
Verse 9, and Jethro rejoiced for all the goodness which Yahweh had done to Israel, whom he delivered out of the hand of the Egyptians. And Jethro said, blessed be Yahweh, who have delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians, and out of the hand of Pharaoh, who have delivered the people from under the hand of the Egyptians. Now I know that Yahweh is greater than all gods, for in the thing wherein they dealt proudly, he was above them. And Jethro, Moshe's father-in-law, took a burnt offering and sacrifices for Elohim. And Aaron came, and all the elders of Israel, to eat bread with Moshe's father-in-law before Elohim. And it came to pass on the morrow that Moshe sat to judge the people, and the people stood by Moshe from the morning until the evening. And when Moshe's father-in-law saw all that he did to the people, he said, what is this thing that you do to the people? Why sittest thou thyself alone, and all the people stand by you from morning unto even? And Moshe said unto his father-in-law, because the people come unto me to inquire of Elohim. When they have a matter, they come unto me. And I judge between one and another, and I do make them know the statutes of Elohim and his laws. And Jethro said unto him,
And
Moshe's father-in-law said unto him, the thing that you do is not good. You will surely wear away both you and this people that is with you, for this thing is too heavy for you. You are not able to perform it yourself alone. Hearken now to my voice. I will give you counsel, and Elohim shall be with you. Be ye for the people to Elohim ward, that you may bring the causes unto Elohim.
Now you see what happened? Now the angel of Yahweh had already went to Moshe and told him he had come down to deliver the children of Israel out of bondage, right? And what did Moshe and the elders do? They turned right around, and now this guy here was the priest of Midian.
Right.
He was a pagan priest. So what happened, Moshe, he made sacrifices and so forth, and Moshe and the elders sat down and ate that doggone sacrifice. Then he turned right around and gave Moshe instruction, wanted to give Moshe instruction as how to deal with the children of Israel. Yahweh already had that set up. This is why I tell y'all, be careful what you deal with among men. Be careful what you deal with, and pay strict attention that you do exactly as Yahweh said and not as men say, because men would end up causing you to lose your inheritance. Now let's go into Deuteronomy 1 and Deuteronomy 4 rather, in verse 1. No, that's wrong too. Let's go into Exodus 19 in verse 1 through chapter 20 in verse 21. Exodus 19 in verse 1 through chapter 20 in verse 21.
Yes, sir. Verse 1. In the third month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day came they into the wilderness of Sinai.
Now it took them 3 months to go less than 100 miles. 3 months. You see, so we can very well see Yahweh had these people out there for longevity, because it's only 11 days journey from Ramses to Israel. Okay. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 2. For they were departed from Rephidim and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness, and there Israel camped before the mount. And Moshe went up unto Elohim, and Yahweh called unto him out of the mountain, saying, Thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, You have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bare you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto myself. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people. For all the earth is mine.
Now that blessing went to his children now. It wasn't just to Israel, it went to the children and the children's children, that if you will obey my voice and keep my covenant, then shall you be a special treasure to me, a peculiar treasure among all the nations on the earth. On the earth today, most of the things we get from the other nations, and we love it so. Yeah. Go ahead and read it, brother.
Chapter 19, verse 5. Now, if you will obey my voice indeed, keep my, then you shall be a peculiar treasure unto me above all people, for all the earth is mine. Verse 6, and you shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel.
Now, we know that Israel never was a priest. We know that what Yahweh chose the tribe of Levi to be the priest. So we can see that even from the old covenant, this blessing was going to lapse over into the new covenant then, wasn't it? Okay, go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 7. And Moshe came and called for the elders of the people, and laid before their faces all these words which Yahweh commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, All that Yahweh hath, we will do. And Moshe returned the words of the people unto Yahweh. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, I come unto thee in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with you, and believe you forever. And Moshe told the words of the people. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Go unto the people, and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes, and be ready against the third day. For the third day Elohim will come down in the sight of all the people upon Mount Sinai. And thou shalt set bounds unto the people round about, saying, Take heed to yourselves, that you go not up into the mount, or touch the border of it. Whosoever touches the mount shall be surely put to death. There shall not a hand touch it, but he shall shoot shot through. Whether it be beast or man, it shall not live. When the trumpet sounds long, they shall come up to the mount. Shabbat Shalom, Sister Israel. We at Exodus chapter 19, verse 14. And Moshe went down from the mount unto the people, and sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes. And he said unto the people, Be ready against the third day, come not at your wives. And it came to pass on the third day in the morning, that there were thunders and lightnings, and a thick cloud upon the mount, and the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud, so that all the people that was in the camp trembled. And Moshe brought forth the people out of the camp to meet with Elohim, and they stood at the nether part. Mount Sinai was altogether on the smoke, because Elohim descended upon it in fire. And the smoke thereof ascended as the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mount quaked greatly. And when the voice of the trumpet sounded long and waxed louder and louder, Moshe spake, and Elohim answered him by a voice. And Elohim came down upon Mount Sinai on the top of the mount, and Yahweh called Moshe up to the top of the mount, and Moshe went up. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Go down, charge the people, lest they break through unto Elohim to gaze, and many of them perish. And let the priests also which come near to Elohim sanctify themselves, lest Elohim break forth unto them.
And let the priests come near unto Yahweh sanctify themselves, lest Yahweh break forth upon them, right? He hadn't even set up the priesthood yet, though, had he? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 23. And Moshe said unto Yahweh, The people can't come up to Mount Sinai, for you charged us, saying, Set bounds about the mount and sanctify.
Moshe didn't know Israel. Moshe didn't know Jake. Jake would have been all on top of that mountain. The third day. If it was the Sabbath day, that meant it'd be the third day. If it was the first day of the week, it meant that it'd be 3 days from then. If it was the sixth day of the week, it meant that it'd be 3 days from then. Okay. He didn't say the third day of the month. He said the third day. And they came out of they was already out 3 months into the wilderness, so we don't know exactly which day this was, but he said the third day, and not just the third day of the week. If it would have been a weekly day, it would have said the third day of the week. If it had been a monthly day, he'd have said the third day of the month. But he said the third day, in other words, 3 days from now. Okay. Go ahead, brother.
Exodus chapter 19, verse 24. And Yahweh said unto him, Awake, get you down, and you shall come up, you and Aaron with you, but let not the priests and the people break through to come up unto Elohim, lest he break forth upon them.
Mm-hmm.
So Moshe went down unto the people, and spake unto them. And Elohim spake all these words, saying, I am Yahweh, thy Elohim, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve. For I, Yahweh thy Elohim, am a jealous Elohim, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of Yahweh thy Elohim in vain, for Yahweh will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain.
Now, did you notice in verse 6 what he said? He said, and showing mercy upon thousands of them that love me and do what? Keep my commandments. There was only 11 commandments given. The first one was, Hear Israel. And then he added 10. These are the things that came out of Yahweh's mouth himself. This is why I tell y'all, and if you'll notice rather what's going on, these are the same things that are taken out of the judicial system today. You know why? Man does not serve the same God that we serve. Man has a myriad of gods that he serves. And our people, being under the curse, our people just do not realize that when they go to church on the first day of the week, especially dealing with the things that all these nations have set up, that they are not just calling on one God, that they're dealing with the myriad of gods. Okay, go ahead and read, brother.
Exodus. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, but the Sabbath day is the Sabbath of Yahweh thy Elohim. In it thou shalt not, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, the sea, and all in them is, all that in them is, and rested the Sabbath day. Wherefore Yahweh blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it.
Have you noticed that this is the longest that was given? It shows you the importance of the Sabbath day. This is why this was the first thing that the Gentiles changed, was the Sabbath day. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 12. Honor thy father, and that thy days may be long upon the land which Yahweh thy Elohim gives thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his maid, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. People saw the thunderings and the lightnings and the noise of the trumpet and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they removed and stood afar. And they said unto Moshe, Speak thou with us, and we will hear. But let not Elohim speak with us, lest we die.
You see what the people did? The people ended up putting a man between them and the Creator, didn't they? Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 20. And Moshe said unto the people, fear not, for Elohim is come to prove you, and that his fear may be before your faces, that you sin not. And the people stood, and Moshe drew near unto the thick darkness where Elohim was.
Okay, my brother. Now let's go into Deuteronomy chapter 7 and read verse 1 through verse 11. Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 1 through verse 11. This is about maybe 39 years after the children of Israel came out of Egypt. Deuteronomy chapter 7.
Verse 1. When Yahweh thy Elohim shall bring thee into the land, whither thou goest to possess it, and have cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, and the Girgashites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, 7 nations greater and mightier than you, and when Yahweh your Elohim shall deliver them before you, you shall smite them and utterly destroy them. You shall make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shall you make marriages with them. Your daughter you shall not give unto his son, nor his daughter shall you take unto your son.
But what we do today is we claim to be these people. We claim to be relatives of these people. But I tell you what, it's few and far in between that we end up being married to them, though, isn't it? The nations have a tendency not to deal with Israel. Simply know Israel got a problem. Israel got a serious problem. The nations just don't know, and we don't know en masse, that our problem is with our Creator. Go ahead and read, my brother.
Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 4. For they will turn away thy son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of Yahweh be kindled against you, and destroy you suddenly. But thus shall you deal with them. You shall destroy their altars, and break down their images, and cut down their groves, and burn their graven images with fire.
If what we do, we assemble in troops in the whore's house on the first day of the week, don't we? Go ahead, brother.
Verse.
Like people say they gotta respect other religions, but we know y'all really give more this religion, huh? Back in the ancient times, they have the same paganism.
Of course they did, brother. And y'all brought us. He separated us from among other people. And the reason why he did that is so that we wouldn't have the temptation there of dealing with the gods of the other people. But what happened was our people, man, they just did what they wanted to do, man, just to serve the gods of the other nations. Even when you read the journey that we was taking out of the wilderness, look at the many people Yahweh had to kill off simply because we soon forgot who Yahweh was and start to serve the gods of the nations around us. And the same thing we did once we got into the land, simply because, like Moshe told our fathers, you can't serve Elohim because he is a holy Elohim. So that meant that something would have to be done so that would make us holy so that we could serve him. And this is the reason for the things that were said in the New Covenant and why the New Covenant was brought about. But go ahead and read, Steve.
Verse. For you are unto Yahweh. Elohim have chosen you to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face. Yahweh did not set his love because you were more in number than any people, for you were the fewest of all people. But because Yahweh loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, have Yahweh brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Know therefore that Yahweh thy Elohim, he is Elohim, the faithful Elohim, which keeps covenant and mercy with them that love him, and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations, and repays them that hate him to their face, to destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hates him, he will repay him to his face. You shall therefore keep the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which I command you this day, to do them.
Okay, my brother, chapter 10 and verse 12 through verse 20. Chapter 10 and verse 12 through verse 20.
Verse 12. And now, Israel, what does Yahweh your Elohim require of you, but to fear Yahweh thy Elohim, to walk in all his ways, and to love him, and to serve Yahweh thy Elohim with all thy heart and with all thy soul, to keep the commandments of Yahweh and his statutes, which I command thee this day for thy good. Behold, the heaven and the heaven of heavens is Yahweh's thy Elohim, the earth also with all that therein is. Only Yahweh had a delight in your fathers to love them, and he chose their seed after them, even you above all people, as it is this day. Circumcise therefore the foreskin of your heart, and be no more stiff-necked. For Yahweh your Elohim is Elohim of gods, and Adonai of lords, a great Elohim, a mighty and a terrible, which regards not persons, nor takes reward. He does execute the judgment of the fatherless and widow, and loves the stranger in giving him food and raiment. Therefore the stranger, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. You, your Elohim, him shall you serve, and to him shall you cleave, swear by his name.
Now he said, love the stranger, but he told you don't learn his ways. He said, as you do, so shall he do. But the thing we see that Lucifer has managed to turn things upside down today. Chapter 29 and verse 10 through chapter 30 and verse 10.
Verse 10. You stand this day, all of you, before Yahweh your Elohim, your captains of your tribes, your elders, and your officers, with all the men of Israel, your little ones, your wives, and your stranger that is in your camp, from the hewer of your wood, into the drawer of thy water, that you should enter with Yahweh thy Elohim, and into his oath with Yahweh thy Elohim makes with you this day. You today for a people unto himself, and that he may be unto you a Elohim, as he have said unto you, and as he have sworn unto your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. Neither with you only do I make this covenant and this oath, but with him that stands here with us this day before Yahweh our Elohim, and also with him that is not here with us this day. For you know how we have dwelt in the land of Egypt, and how you came through the nation, passed by, and you have seen their abominations and their idols, wood and stone, silver and gold, which were among them. Least there should be among you man or family or tribe, whose heart turns away this day from Yahweh our Elohim, to go and serve the gods of least there should be among you a root that bears gall and wormwood. And it came to pass, when he heard the words of bless himself in his heart, saying, peace, though I walk in the imagination of heart, to drunkenness, to thirst. Yahweh will not spare him. But then the anger of Yahweh and his jealousy shall smoke against that man, and all the curses in this book shall lie upon him, and Yahweh shall bless his name from under heaven. Yahweh shall separate him unto evil of Israel, according to all the curses of the covenant that are written in this book of the law, so that the generation to come of your children that shall rise up after you, and the stranger that shall come from a far land shall say, when they see the plagues of that land, and the sicknesses which Yahweh have laid upon it, and that the whole land of is brimstone and burning, that it is not sown nor beareth, nor any grass grows therein, like the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah and Seboam, which Yahweh overthrew in his anger and in his wrath. Even all nations shall say, wherefore have Yahweh done? and what means the heat of this great anger. Then men shall say, because they have forsaken the covenant of Yahweh Elohim of their fathers, which he made with, brought them forth out of the land of Egypt. They and worship them, gods whom they knew not, and whom he had not given unto them. And the anger of Yahweh was kindled against this land, to bring upon it all the curses that are written in this book. And Yahweh rooted them out of their land in anger and in wrath and in great indignation, and cast them into another land, as it is this day. The secret things belong unto Yahweh our Elohim, but those things which are revealed belong unto forever. They are all the word. And it shall come to pass, when all these things are come upon you, the blessing and the curse which I have for you, call them to mind among all nations, whither Yahweh thy Elohim have driven thee, and shall return unto Yahweh thy Elohim, and shall obey his voice according to all that I command you this day, you and your children, with all your heart and with all your soul, that then Yahweh thy captivity, and have compassion upon will return and gather thee from all the nations whither Yahweh thy Elohim have scattered thee. If man be driven out unto the outmost parts of heaven, from thence will Yahweh thy Elohim gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. And Yahweh thy Elohim will bring thee into the land which thy fathers possessed, and thou shalt possess it. And he will do thee good, and multiply thee above thy fathers. And Yahweh thy Elohim will circumcise that heart and thee to heart, and with all thy soul, that thou mayest live.
Praise Yah.
And Yahweh thy Elohim will put all these curses upon thine enemies, and on them that hate thee. And thou shalt return and obey the voice of Yahweh, and do all his commandments which I command thee this day. And Yahweh thy Elohim will make thee plenteous in every work of thine hand, in the fruit of thy body, and in the cattle, and in the fruit of thy land, for good. For Yahweh will again rejoice for good, as he rejoiced over thy fathers. If thou shalt hearken unto the voice of Yahweh thy Elohim, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which are written in this book of the law, and if you turn unto Yahweh your Elohim with all your heart and with all your soul.
So that even though our people did the things that they wanted to do, like I always say, we have to understand that every generation had its own reason. And our father's generation was to be raised up and to be the recipients of the covenant, to inherit the land and to bring forth the Messiah. And the old covenant was, like Peter said, not that which wax old and Paul rather, not one of them. Not that which wax old and decayeth is ready to vanish away with the shedding of the blood of the Mashiach. So we see that y'all promised, y'all going to be kicked out this land to the four corners of the earth, and I'm going to gather you back, right? Okay, now let's go and see some more preparation pertaining to this thing. 2 Samuel 7 in verse 1 through verse 28. 2 Samuel 7 in verse 1 through verse 28. I don't know why they named the 1st and 2nd Samuel and the 2nd Chronicle. It should have all been Kings. Yeah, but you know, that's where our fathers did it, so that's what we got to deal with. 2 Samuel 7, and brother, I want you to read verse 1 through verse 28.
Yes, sir. And it came to he sat in his house, and Yahweh had given him rest round about from all his enemies, that the king said unto Nathan the prophet, See now, I dwell in an house of, but the ark of Elohim dwells within curtains. And Nathan said to the king, Go, do all that is in thine heart, for Yahweh is with thee. And it came to pass that night that the word of Yahweh came unto Nathan, saying, Go, thus says Yahweh, shall you to dwell in?
You see how Yahweh does things? He does things decently and in order, and he set up people to do his bidding. Now, David, we know what Yahweh said about I found David a man after my own heart, right? And he's going to fulfill all my will, didn't he? But we know what kind of man David was. But that didn't have anything to do with it because you already chosen David, right? And so what he did was, he could have went to David and spoke with David, but what did he do? He sent his prophet. Okay. Go ahead, brother.
He had a witness.
Right. Right. Right on the money. Go ahead and read, brother.
2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 6. Whereas I have not dwelt in any house since the time that I brought up the children of Israel out of Egypt, this day off in a tent and in a tabernacle.
Now understand, now we doing 100 years after the children of Israel came out of Egypt. But go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 7. In all the places wherein I have walked with all the children of Israel, spake I a word with any of the tribes of Israel, whom I commanded to feed my people Israel, saying, Why build you not me a house of cedar? Now therefore, so shall you say unto my seed, Thus says Yahweh of hosts, I took you from the sheep, following the sheep, to be ruler over my people, over Israel.
I said 1,400 years, y'all. That was a lie. Because we had 430 years of judges, and then we had kings. So this is the 460, Saul ruled 40 years, and then David came in, and David wasn't no young man at this time, so we might be talking about maybe 500 years. Y'all forgive me for that lie I told. Yeah, but go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. 2 Samuel chapter 7, verse 9. And I was with you wheresoever you went, and have cut off all your enemies out of your sight, and have made you a great name, like unto the name of the great men that are in the earth. Moreover, I will upon a place for my people Israel, and will plant them, and they may dwell and move no more. Neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them foretime.
Now you notice what happened? He said, I will do this. Israel was already in the land set up with a king. But he said, I will appoint a place for my people. And why was this said? Simply because he had already told our people, I'm going to scatter y'all all, I'm going to get y'all up out of here. I'm scattering y'all all over the earth, but I'm going to still appoint a place for you and bring you back so you can be my sons and daughters. But see, that we don't get this from the nations today. What the nations say is this, man, y'all ain't going to rule nothing. We going off never.
So
Right.
brother, those brothers under that old order thing, he's talking about new covenant right here, right?
Of course, brother. Of course. It was still a new covenant.
Yeah.
Get that in Hebrew, because that's what it said for Yahshua had given them rest. You would have spoken a better place, but
Correct.
you have a rest for these people, right?
Correct. And this is what people don't want to deal with, is that there has to be rest for the children of Israel. We've been out of our land. A lot of us has been out of our land since 606 BC. That's a long time to be out of the land. And Yahweh has already promised that I'm going to bring my people back in and set them up to rule the earth. Why do you think the nations are trying to destroy us and showing out, washing our dirty linen on satellite?
Ed, I want to make another comment too. What you've been saying for years and years since they had that bombing over there in London. Subway, I've seen a lot of jakes on television.
Of course.
Every time they show it, it's jake all over there.
We got 9 tribes over there, but they colonized back in 1981. They began to colonize us in the countryside so we wouldn't be so noticeable. Back during World War II, man, it was all in Germany and all over Europe, brother. Man, folks come back and say, man, I didn't know there were so many black folks. To get them out of these cities, people talk about going downtown Bancroft, where everybody was hanging out at, right? So what they did was they got us out in the countryside. They and do the same thing right here in Atlanta. Yeah. But go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. 2 Samuel chapter 7, and I read verse 10 again. Moreover, I will upon a place for my people Israel, and that they may dwell in a place of their own, and move. Neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them any more as before time, and as since the time that I commanded judges to be over my people Israel, and have caused you to rest from all your enemies. Also Yahweh tells you that he will make you a house. And when your days be fulfilled, and you shall sleep with your fathers, I will set up your seed after you.
Back up 2 verses.
Verse 10. Moreover, I will upon a place for my people Israel, and will plant them, that they may dwell in a place of their own, and move no more. Neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them any more as before time, and as since the time that I commanded judges to be over my people Israel, and have caused you to rest from all your enemies. Allah tells you that he will make you a house.
Because make him a house, right? Don't you know that Yahweh is going to make us a house because we want to make him a house? He don't change. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 12. And when thy day is filled, and thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, I will set up thy seed after thee, which shall proceed out of your bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. He shall build a house for my name, and I will establish the kingdom forever.
And now, we know it wasn't talking about Solomon, because Solomon's kingdom was. But he said, I'm going to set up the throne of your son's kingdom. I will establish his kingdom forever. Forever. Solomon's kingdom, the kingdom that's going to be set up is called a Davidic kingdom, right? So he would have a son that's going to sit on the forever, even forever and ever. That means he would have to be a God then, don't it? Okay. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 14. I will be his father, and he shall be my son. If he commit iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of men and with the stripes of the children of men. But my mercy shall not depart away from him, as I took it from Saul, who I put away before you.
Now, read the kingdom. Solomon was afflicted. Yahweh took his mercy for him. Right at the end of his kingdom, didn't people start to invade different parts of his kingdom? Okay. Go ahead, bro.
You saw the stone that was cut with their hands.
Right. Go ahead, bro.
Yes, sir. Verse 16. And your house and your kingdom shall be established for you, your throne established forever. According to all these words and according to all this vision, Satan speak unto Dawid. Then went King Dawid in and sat before Yahweh. And who am I, O Adonai Elohim? And what is my house that you have brought me hitherto? And this was yet a small thing in thy sight, Adonai Elohim. But you have spoken also of your servant's house for a great while to come. And man of man, O Adonai Elohim.
Now, you're going to get into with some of these brothers that's under that old order thing, and they're going to say, well, see, he was talking about Solomon. Well, why servant's house for a great while to come? See, David knew that this wasn't going to happen in this time, and he knew it wasn't going to happen apparently, that it was going to happen once that the tribes was regathered. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 20. Say more, for thou, Adonai Elohim, knowest thy servant. For thy word's sake, and according to thine own heart, hast thou done all these great things to make thy servant know them. Wherefore, you are great, O Yahweh Elohim, for there is none like you, neither is there any God according to all that we have heard with our ears. And what one nation in the earth is like your people, even like Israel, who meant to redeem for a people to himself, and to make him a name, and to do for you great things and terrible for your land before your people, which you redeemed to you from Egypt, from the nations and their gods. Confirm to yourself your people Israel to be a people unto you, and you, Yahweh, are become Elohim. O Yahweh Elohim, the word that you have spoken concerning your servant, establish it forever, and do as you have said. And let your name be magnified forever, saying, Yahweh of hosts is the Elohim over Israel. And let the house of thy servant David be established before you. O Yahweh of hosts, Elohim of Israel, have revealed to thy servant, saying, I will build you a house. Therefore have your servant found in his heart to pray this prayer unto you. Now, O Adonai Elohim, and your words be true, I promise this goodness.
Brother, now let's go see what the prophet Isaiah, what was told to the prophet Isaiah about this. We see what was told to the prophet Nathan. Now let's go see what was told to the prophet Isaiah about Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 1 through chapter 6. And Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 1 through chapter 6 and verse 13.
Verse 1. The son of Esau concerning Yehuda and Jerusalem in the days of Uzziah, Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Yehuda. Hear, O heavens, and give ear, O earth, for Yahweh hath spoken. I have nourished and brought up children, and they have rebelled against me.
As we do this day. Go ahead, brother.
The ox knows his owner, and the ass his master's crib. But Israel do not know. My people.
Pride become other people. We become strangers, like I always say. And it's hard to teach old dogs new tricks. But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 4. Sin people lay iniquity, a seed of evildoers, children that are corrupted. They have forsaken Yahweh. They have provoked the Holy One of Israel unto anger. They are gone away backward. Why should you be stricken anymore? You will revolt more and more. The whole head is sick and the whole heart faint. From the sole of the foot even unto the head there is no soundness in it, but wounds and bruises and putrefying sores. They have not been closed, neither bound up, neither mollified with ointment.
Why? Because we want to do what we want to do, and that's what we're going to do. Whether it causes us death or not, we're going to do what we want to do. Go ahead, brother. That's Jake, brother.
Verse 7.
Like Yahweh said, if I would have went to the Gentiles, they would have heard me. But all day long I've stretched out my hand to a disobedient and gainsaying people.
7. Your country, your cities are burned with fire. Your land, strangers divide in your presence, desolate and overthrown by.
Go ahead, brother.
Verse 8. And the daughter of Yehuda is left as a cottage in a vineyard, as a lodge in a garden of cucumbers, as a besieged city. Except Yahweh of hosts had left unto us a very small remnant that have been in Sodom, and we should have been like unto Gomorrah. Hear the word of Yahweh, you rulers of Sodom, give ear unto the law of our Elohim, you people of Gomorrah. Verse 11. What purpose is the multitude of your sacrifices unto me, says Yahweh? I am full of the burnt offerings of rams and the fat of fed beasts, and I delight not in the blood of bullocks, or of lambs, or of he-goats. When you come to appear before me, who have required this at your hand to tread my courts, bring no more vain oblations. Incense is an abomination unto me. And Shabbats, the calling of assemblies, I cannot away with, even the soul of me.
Why go to a holy convention in your heart to do righteousness? Why go to a holy convention when it's not in your heart to serve the true and the living God? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 14. Your new moons and feasts my soul hates. They are a trouble unto me. I am weary to bear them. When you speak, I will hide mine eyes from you. Yea, when you make many prayers, I will not hear. Your hands are full of blood. Wash you, make you clean. Put away the evil of your doings from before mine eyes. Cease to do evil.
Now, we know back in those days when they washed, they just washed the dirt off them. So they couldn't be made clean from sin by having the dirt washed off them. So this is why we had to come under the blood of the Messiah to have our past sins washed away. This was the reason for the blood sacrifices. The Passover lamb and the atonement sacrifice, all of these things were done for one purpose, to redeem Israel so that we could become the children of the living Elohim. But see, today our man tell us, so you don't have to keep those. We got some holy days. We got some holidays for y'all to keep. And y'all can party and have all the fun you want to and don't have to even worry about being bothered with God. Yeah. Go ahead, brother.
The holidays, our holidays have holy convocations and Sabbath time. They're required to work on their holidays. Yeah, so, where's the spiritual content of their beliefs and their faith, really?
Well, what's the difference between us, brother? The priests are required to work on the Sabbath day and are blameless.
I know what I'm talking about. Their whole nation breaks it. They're supposed to. Yeah, okay.
But the priests are supposed to work, they're allowed to work on the Sabbath day, and they're blameless, right? But see, the difference is who they're working for. See, in the world, they work for the adversary, the devil. In the house of Yahweh, they work for Yahweh himself. This is why they are blameless. Someone has to do it.
Yahshua said it's good, it's
Do good on the Sabbath day.
good on
Right, right. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 17, learn to do well, seek judgment, leave the oppressed, the fatherless, plead for the widow. Come now, and let us reason together, says Yahweh. Sins be as scarlet, they shall be as white as snow. Though they be red like crimson, they shall be as wool. If you be willing and obedient, you shall eat the good of the land. But if you refuse and rebel, you shall be devoured with the sword. For the mouth of Yahweh hath spoken it. How is the faithful city become a harlot? Was full of judgment, right lodged in it, but now murder. Thy silver is become dross, thy wine mixed with water, thy princes are rebellious of thieves, love bribes and follows after rewards. They judge not, does the cause of the widow come unto them. Therefore says Yahweh, Yahweh of hosts, the mighty one of Israel, I will ease me of mine adversaries and avenge me of mine enemies, and I will turn my hand upon thee and purely purge away thy dross and take away all thy tin, and I will restore thy judges as at the first, and thy counselors as at the beginning. Afterward you shall be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city.
Amen.
Yehuda shall be redeemed with judgment, and her converts with righteousness. And the destruction of the transgressors and of the sinners shall be together, and they that forsake Yahweh shall be. For they shall be ashamed of the oaks which you have desired, and you shall be confounded for the gardens that you have chosen. For you shall be as an oak whose leaf and as that have no water, and the is told, and the maker of it as a spar, and they shall, and none shall quit.
Pick the now, go ahead. Put up at verse 1.
Yes, sir. He says, chapter 2, verse 1. The word that he says, the son of Amos saw concerning and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days that the mountain of Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountain, exalted above the hills, and all nations shall.
Now, this is supposed to happen when the Jews return back to Zion, right? Has it happened yet?
No, sir.
Well, the Jews haven't returned to Zion, didn't have it. Yeah, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 3. And many people shall go and say, come you, and let us go up to the mountain of Yahweh, to the house of the Elohim of Yaakov. And he will teach us of his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Yehuda shall go forth the law and the word of Yahweh from Jerusalem. And he shall judge among the nations many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Yaakov, come you and let us walk in the light of Yahweh. Therefore you have forsaken your people, the house of Yaakov, because they replenish from the east, and are soothsayers. They please themselves in the children of strife. And also is full of silver and gold, neither is there any end of their treasures. Their land is full of horses, neither is there any end of their chariots. Their land also is full of idols. They worship the work of their own hands, their own fingers are made. And the mean man bows down, and the great man humbles himself. Therefore, if hide you in the dust for fear of Yahweh and for the glory of his majesty. The lofty looks of man shall be humble, and the haughtiness of men shall be bowed down, and Yahweh shall be exalted in that day. For the day of Yahweh of hosts shall be upon everyone that is proud and lofty, and upon everyone that shall be brought low.
Chapter 3 and verse 1.
The Adonai, Yahweh of hosts, does take away from Jerusalem and from Yehuda the stay and the staff, the whole stay of bread and the whole stay of water. the mighty man and the man of war, the judge and the prophet and the prudent and the ancient, the captain of 50 and the honorable man and the counselor and the cunning artificer and the eloquent orator.
As it is this day. This is why we are not even reckoned among the nations. So go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 4. And I will to be their princes and bathe over them. The people shall be oppressed, every one by another, and every one by his neighbor, and the child shall behave himself and the base against the honorable.
These are the things that's coming upon us today. Go ahead, verse 12.
Yes, sir. As for my people, children are their oppressors, and women rule over them. All my people, they which lead you cause you to err and destroy the way of your paths. Stands up to plead and stands to judge the people. Yahweh to judge the ancient princes thereof, each and the spoil of the poor houses. What mean you that you beat my people to pieces and grind the faces of poor, says the Adonai Elohim of hosts. Moreover, Yahweh says, because the daughters of Yehudah are haughty and walk with necks and wanton eyes, walking in medicine as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet, therefore the Adonai will smite with a scab the crown of the head of the daughter of Yehudah, and Yahweh a secret part. In that day the Adonai will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet, and their cars and their round ties like the moon, the chains and the bracelets and the mufflers, the bonnets and the ornaments of the leg, and the headbands and the tablets and the earrings, the rings and nose jewels, the changeable suits of apparel, and the mantles and the wimples and the crisping pins, the glasses and the fine linen and the hoods and the veil. It shall come to pass that instead of sweet smell there shall be stink, and instead of a girdle a rent, and instead of well-set hair baldness, and instead of a stomacher a girdle of sackcloth. Your men shall fall by the sword, and your mighty in the war. And her gates shall lament and mourn, and she, being desolate, shall sit upon the ground. In that day 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel, only call by your name to take away our reproach. In that day shall the branch of Yahweh be beautiful and glorious, and the fruit of the earth shall be excellent and comely for them that are escaped of Israel. And it shall come to pass that he that is left in Zion and in Jerusalem shall be called holy, even everyone that is written in Jerusalem, when the Adonai shall have washed away the filth of the daughters of Yehudah, and shall have purged the blood of Jerusalem from the midst thereof by the spirit of judgment and by the spirit of burning. And Yahweh will upon every dwelling place of Mount Zion a cloud and the shining of a flame and fire by night. For upon all the glory shall be a defense. And there shall be a tabernacle for a shadow in the daytime from the heat, and for a place of refuge, and for a covert from storm and from rain. Now will I sing to my well-beloved a song of my beloved touching his vineyard. My well-beloved have a vineyard in a very fruitful hill. It and gathered out the stones thereof, and planted it with the choicest vine, and built a tower in the midst of it, pressed down, look that it should bring forth grapes, and it brought forth wild grapes. And now, O inhabitants of Jerusalem and men of Yehudah, I pray you between me and my vineyard. What could have been done more to my vineyard that I have not done in it? Why, when I looked at it, should bring forth grapes, brought it forth wild grapes? And now go to, I will tell you what I will do to my vineyard. I will take away the heads thereof, and it shall be eaten up, and break down the wall thereof, and it shall be trodden down, prune not dig, but there shall come. I will also command the clouds that they rain no rain upon it. For the vineyard of Yahweh of hosts is the house of Israel, and the men of Yehuda his pleasant plant. And he looked for judgment, but behold oppression. For righteousness, but behold a cry.
Verse 11.
Yes, sir. Woe unto them that rise up early in the morning, that they may drink, that continue unto night, till wine them. And the harp, and the viol, the tabret, and pipe, and wine are in their feasts, but they regard not the work of Yahweh, neither consider the operation of his hands. People are gone into captivity because they have no knowledge. And their honorable men are famished, and their multitude dried up with thirst. Therefore hell have enlarged herself, and opened her mouth without measure. And their glory, and their multitude, and their pomp, and he that rejoices shall descend into it. And the mean man shall be brought down, the man shall be humble, and the eyes of the lofty shall be humble. But Yahweh of hosts shall be exalted in judgment, and Elohim that is holy shall be sanctified in righteousness.
Hallelujah.
Then shall the lambs feed after their manner, and the waste places shall strangers eat. Woe unto them that draw iniquity with cords of vanity, and sin as it were with a cart rope, that say, let him make speed, and hasten his work, that we may see it. And let the counsel of the Holy One of Israel draw nigh and come, that we may know it.
Right, but we don't do it. But we need to know it anyway, so just let us know it, and we just gonna know it. Right, we're gonna fake it doing it, because we're gonna live according to the counsel of our own hearts. Yeah, go ahead, brother.
It says, chapter 5, verse 20. Woe unto them that call evil and good evil, for light and light for darkness, that put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Woe unto them that are wise in their own eyes and prudent in their own sight.
Right, I think this and I feel that. Right, go ahead, brother.
Verse 22. Woe unto them that are mighty to drink wine, and men of strength to mingle strong drink, which justify the wicked for reward, and take away the righteousness of the righteous from them. Therefore, as the fire devours the stubble, the flame consume the chaff, so their root shall be as rottenness, and their blossom shall go. Because they have cast away the law of Yahweh of hosts, and despised the word of the Holy One of Israel. Therefore is the anger of Yahweh kindled against his people. He hath stretched forth hand against them, and have smitten them. And the hills did tremble, and their carcasses were torn in the midst of the streets. For all this his anger is not turned away, but his hand is stretched out still.
Why? Because he has to keep covenants with our fathers. Go ahead, brother.
26. And he will lift up an ensign to the nations from far, and will hiss unto them from the end of the earth, and behold, they speed swiftly. None shall stumble among them, none shall slumber nor sleep, neither shall the girdle of their loins be loose, nor the latchet of their shoes be broken, whose arrows are sharp and all their bows bent. Their horses' hoofs shall be counted like flint, and their wheels like a whirlwind. Their roaring shall be like a lion. They shall roar like young lions. Yea, they shall roar and lay hold of the prey, and shall carry it away safe, and none shall deliver.
Right, because Messiah already told you, I'm going to send my angels, and they're going to gather my elect from the four corners of the earth. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 30. And in that day they shall roar against them like the roar of the sea. And if one look unto the land, darkness and sorrow, and the light is darkened in the heavens thereof.
Verse 8.
Also I heard the voice of the Adonai saying, whom shall I send, and who will go for us? Then said I, here am I, send me. And he said, this people, but understand not, and see you indeed, but perceive not. Make the heart of this people fat, and make their ears heavy, and shut their eyes. They see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and understand with their heart, and convert, and be healed. Then said I, Adonai, how long? And he answered, until the cities be wasted without inhabitant, and the houses without man, and the land be utterly desolate, and Yahweh have removed men far away, and there be a great forsaking in the midst of the land. But yet in it shall be a tenth, and it shall return, and shall be eaten. As a teal tree, and as an oak whose substance is in them when they cast their leaves, so the holy seed shall be the substance thereof.
Praise Yah. We know that this took place when our people went down back out of the Babylonian captivity and inherited land simply because the holy seed had to be made manifest in Israel. Because our fathers in mass learned the ways of strangers before 606 BCE, Yahweh Elohim began to bring desolation upon our fathers, the 12 tribes of Israel. And with the desolation, there was grace and redemption because our fathers were the recipients of covenants made with their fathers. Seeing that Yahweh Elohim required eye for eye, tooth for tooth, hand for hand, and foot for foot, and blood for blood, it was impossible for the blood sacrifices to grant redemption for sin. So let us see what was done to redeem Yahweh's chosen nation. Pick that up, my brother, at Isaiah chapter 7, and pick that up at verse 10. Isaiah chapter 7, and pick that up at verse 10.
Yes, sir. Moreover, Yahweh spake again unto Ahaz, saying, Ask you a sign of Yahweh thy Elohim, ask it either in the depth or in the height above. But Ahaz said, I will not ask, neither will I tempt Yahweh.
Ain't that something? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 13. And he said, Hear you now, O house of David. Is it a small thing for you to weary men, but will you weary my Elohim also? Therefore the Elohim shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call Emmanuel.
Be the holy seed. Now, when you read this to brothers that don't believe in the Messiah, you ask them, say, well, when did this happen? Oh, that happened already. When did it happen? Show it to me in the scripture. I mean, a virgin having a child, I mean, that's something notable. It's going to be written down. Now, show it to me. Yeah.
A lot of people, they don't believe in immaculate conception, but when you're going back to Genesis with Adam, who came forth Adam, that's where it happened.
And like you said in Deuteronomy 18, it said, a prophet shall Yahweh, your Elohim, raise up unto you, just like me. In other words, he'd be made a God to the people, he would be a deliverer, and he would be a lawgiver, right? He said, and whosoever do not hear that shall be cut off from among his people. So we expected the prophet to come do these things, and the prophet Daniel told us the exact year that he would show up on the scene. See?
All that took the come to pass. Let's talk about that all in Deuteronomy, right? And all to the all in the Roman Empire. That the Messiah turned, right? Generations went by. They were looking for it.
Right. This is why when wise men, those three brothers was turning back, they said, where is he that is born king of the Jews? See, the people expected a king, but then our Pharisees and Sadducees, our preachers and politicians, our men of renown, see, they were afraid they were going to lose their place. This is why they didn't want to accept the Messiah. And it's the same thing with niggas today. They'll come in here and y'all forgive me for that. But they'll come in here and they'll hear these things and sit here year after year and then say, well, Yahweh got something better for me to do. He need me to be this place, or he need me to be that place. Now tell him, right, bye. All right, get on up out of here. But go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. He says, chapter 7, verse, butter and honey shall he eat, that he may know to refuse the evil and for before the child shall know to refuse the evil and choose the good, the land that you abhor shall be forsaken of both her kings.
Right, he had divided up the land between Samaria and Judea, right after Solomon's kingdom, right? Well, during his brother Rehoboam's time, his son, rather, Solomon's son Rehoboam's time. He divided up the kingdom, and by the time the Messiah was born, Israel didn't have a king because they had been taken out of the land since 721 BCE, and Judah didn't have a king. The Romans had set Herod the Great up as king of Judea. But go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. He said, 7 verse 17. Yahweh shall bring upon you and upon your people, upon your foes, days that have not come from the day that Ephraim departed from Yehuda, even the king of Assyria.
Okay, brother, now we know the Assyrian Empire came in and then the Babylonian Empire came in upon our people. Now let's go into chapter 8 and pick it up at verse 8 through chapter 9 and verse 8. Isaiah 8 and verse 8 through chapter 9 and verse 8. Eight and verse 9, I'm sorry, brother.
Yes, sir. Associate yourselves, O you people, and you shall be broken in pieces.
Associate yourself with these nations, and you shall be broken in pieces. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Give ear, all you of far countries. Gird yourselves, and you shall be broken in pieces. Gird yourselves, and you shall be broken.
All you nation of far country, get your weapons together, because I'm going to tear up all the weapons you got. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 10. Take counsel together, and it shall come to naught. Speak the word, and it shall not. For Elohim is with us.
Right, like the nation said, come on and let's destroy this people from being a nation from before us. Yeah, go ahead, brother.
Verse 11. For Yahweh spoke thus to me with a strong hand, and instructed me that I should not walk in the way of this people, saying, say you not a confederacy to all them to whom this people shall say a confederacy. Neither fear you their fear, nor be afraid. Sanctify Yahweh of hosts himself, and let him be your fear, and let him be your dread.
Praise Yah.
And he shall be for a sanctuary, but for a stone of stumbling, and for a rock of offense to both the houses, for a gin and for a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And many among them shall stumble and fall and be broken and be snared and be taken.
Why? Because we don't fear Yahweh, and because we don't allow Yahweh to become our dread. But go ahead, brother.
It says, chapter 8, verse 16, bind up the testimony, seal the law among my disciples. And I will wait upon Yahweh that hide his face from the house of Jacob, and I will look for him. Behold, I and the children whom Yahweh have given me are for signs and for wonders in Israel from Yahweh of hosts, which dwells in Mount Sion. And when they shall say unto you, seek unto them that have familiar spirits, and unto wizards that peep and that mutter, should not a people seek unto their Elohim, for the living, to the dead, to the law, and to the testimony? If they don't speak according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. And they shall pass through it, hardly be stead and hungry. And it shall come to pass that when they shall be hungry, they shall fret themselves and curse their king and their God, and look upward. And they shall look unto the earth, and behold trouble and darkness, dimness of anguish, and they shall be driven to darkness. Nevertheless, the dimness shall not be such as was in her vexation, when at the first he lightened the land of Zebulun and the land of Naphtali, and afterward did more grievously afflict her by the way of the sea beyond Jordan in Galilee of the nations. The people that walk in darkness have seen a great light. They dwell in the land of the shadow of death. Upon them have the light shined.
Praise Yah.
Thou hast multiplied the nation, and not increased the joy. They joy before thee according to the joy and harvest, and as men rejoice when they divide the spoil. For thou hast broken the yoke of his burden of his shoulder, the rod of his oppressor, as in the day of Midian. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise, and garments rolled in blood. But this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. For unto Israel a child is born, unto Israel a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty El, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Of the increase of his government and peace there shall be no end, upon the throne of David and upon his kingdom, to order it and to establish it with judgment and with justice from henceforth even forever. The zeal of Yahweh of hosts will perform this. The Adonai sent a word into Jacob, and it have lighted upon Israel.
And the word that he sent into Jacob was the Messiah, and the Messiah did light upon Israel and confirm the promises that was made with our fathers, with our royal house, that we would be eventually saved from the hands of our enemies and set up as his nation upon the earth, and man will not lift up sword against his brother, and neither will he learn any war anymore, and the brotherhood of man will truly become a reality. Chapter 11 in verse 1 through chapter 12 in verse 6.
Elder, in that verse where it talks about when they say to you, seek unto them who have wizards, familiar spirits and wizards, etc. You can see that phenomenon with this whole Harry Potter craze. You know, and this woman comes out with a book, they're lined up and chameleons dressed up in, you know, warlock and witches costumes, etc.
Before that thing about the witches and warlocks was released with Harry Potter, before that came out upon man, they already had, before the date was due of the book going on sale, they already had 4 million books printed and had orders for another 3 million. Just the thing, something as stupid as Harry Potter. I mean, it's about witches and warlocks. And that's what man is all off into, being witches and warlocks. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, they have a cartoon on Adult Swim on Channel 62 at night that are these demons, and the demons are the good guys, and they're really personable, and like but was they already have the half moon on their foreheads, and they're already running around, and like you can just see that with the EU already. They've already got that cartoon, and everybody watched that already. So.
Have y'all seen the commercial about where people going up to the bank to get their money and they're snapping on the forehead? Letting us know, look here, this thing is down, it's going down. It's going down with or without you, clown. Now you can join onto it, but if you don't join onto it, we're going to destroy you. No man is going to be able to buy or sell except he take this number and mark of this beast. Now that's what we've already been told that these things are going to take place, right? So why the hell are we sitting around not doing what we're supposed to do? We haven't got that much time. Yahweh told Abraham we'd be here 400 years, and he told us what would be taking place, and we can see it. We can see it. We need to do what we need to do. There's no doubt about it. Because if we don't, we might get punished. Who said that Yahweh is going to have his hand stretched out still for always? Yeah, go ahead and read, brother.
He says, 11, verse 1. And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse, and a branch shall grow out of his roots, and the Spirit of Yahweh shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and of fear of Yahweh, and shall make him of quick understanding in the fear of Yahweh. And he shall not judge after the sight of his eyes, neither reprove after the hearing of his ears. But with righteousness shall he judge the poor, and reprove with equity for the meek of the earth. And he shall smite the earth with the rod of his mouth, and with the breath of his lips shall he slay the wicked. And righteousness shall be the girdle of his loins, and faithfulness the girdle of his reins. The wolf also shall dwell with the lamb, and the leopard shall lie down with the kid, and the calf, and the young lion, and the fatling together, and a little child shall lead them. And the cow and the bear shall feed, their young ones shall lie down together, and the lion shall eat straw like the ox. And the sucking child shall play on the hole of the asp, and the weaned child shall put his hand on the cockatrice den. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, for the earth shall be full of the knowledge of Yahweh as the waters cover the sea.
Praise Yah.
And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse, which shall stand for an ensign of the people. To it shall the Euro Gentile seek, and his rest shall be glorious.
Praise Yah.
And it shall come to pass in that day that the Adonai shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, and from Egypt, and from Patroth, and from Cush, and from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. And he shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Yehudah from the four corners of the earth. The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Yehudah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Yehudah, and Yehudah shall not vex Ephraim. But they shall fly upon the shoulders of the Philistines toward the west. They shall spoil them of the east together. They shall lay their hand upon Edom and Moab, and the children of Ammon shall obey them.
Those are the people that are laying now, right? Okay, go ahead.
Verse 15. And Yahweh shall utterly destroy the tongue of the Egyptian sea, and with his mighty wind shall he shake his hand over the river, and shall smite it in the 7 streams, and make men go for dry shod. And there shall be a highway for the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, like as it was to Israel in the day that he came up out of the land of Egypt.
And today is known as the King's Highway that runs from Haifa into Jerusalem. But go ahead and read, brother.
He says, chapter 12, verse 1. And in that day you shall say, O Yahweh, I will praise you. Though you were my anger is turned, you comfort me. Behold, Elohim is my salvation. I will trust and not be afraid. For the Most High Yahweh is my strength and my song. He also is become my salvation. Therefore with joy shall you draw water out of the wells of salvation. And in that day shall you say, praise Yahweh. Call upon his name. Declare his doings among the people. Make mention that his name is exalted. Sing unto Yahweh, for he hath done excellent things. This is known in all the earth. Cry out and shout, thou inhabitant of Zion, for great is the Holy One of Israel in the midst of you.
Amen and amen. Chapter 49 and verse 1 through verse 26. Chapter 49, verse 26.
We came out of that, but the second repatriation, which is speaking in Isaiah 11, right? That day there shall not be more. They shall come to the land of the north. They shall not be said that they come into Egypt in those days, but they shall come to the land of the north country in the sea.
Correct. When we read, it says, when they cast forth the leave, so the holy seed shall be the substance thereof. He was talking about the return of Judah out of Iraq, old nation Babylon, to produce the holy. So he hadn't redeemed all the people because Israel had still been scattered. But this time, he said he's going to set it a second time, and he's going to all in the strangers that has gathered themselves to the nation of Israel. Isaiah chapter 49, and pick that up, brother.
Yeah. Listen, O isles, unto me, and hearken, you people, from far. Yahweh have called me from the womb. From the bowels of my mother have he made mention of my name. And he have made my mouth like a sharp sword. In the shadow of his hand have he hid me, and made me a polished quiver have he hid me, and said unto me, you are my servant, O Israel, in whom I glorified. I said, I have labored in vain. I have spent my strength for naught and in vain. Yet surely is with Yahweh, and my work with my Elohim. Says Yahweh that formed me from the womb to be his servant, to bring Yaakov again to him. Though Israel be not gathered, yet shall I be glorious in the eyes of Yahweh, and my Elohim shall be my strength.
Hold up, brother. Okay.
Yes, sir, verse 4. Then I said, I have labored in vain. I have spent my strength for naught and in vain. Yet surely my judgment is with Yahweh, and my work with my Elohim. And now, says Yahweh that formed me from the womb to bring Yaakov again to him, though Israel be not, yet shall I be glorious in the eyes of Yahweh, and my Elohim shall be my strength. And he said, it is a light thing that you should be my servant, to raise up the tribes of Jacob, and to restore the preserved of Israel. I will also give you for a light to the Euro-Gentiles, that you may be my salvation unto the end of the earth. Thus says Yahweh, the Redeemer of Israel, and his Holy One, to him whom man despises, to him who abhorreth, to a servant of rulers, kings shall see and arise. Princes also shall worship Yahweh that is faithful, and the Holy One of Israel, and he shall choose you. Says Yahweh, in an acceptable time have I heard you, and in a day of salvation have I helped you. I will give you for a covenant of the people, to establish the earth, to cause to inherit the desolate heritages, that you may say to the prisoners, go forth. To them that are in darkness, show yourselves. They shall feed in the ways, and their pastors shall be in all high places. They shall not hunger nor thirst, neither shall the heat nor sun smite them. For he that have mercy on them shall lead them, even by the springs of water shall he guide them. And I will make all my mountains a way, and my highways shall be exalted. Behold, these shall come from far, and lo, these from the north, and from the west, and these from the land of Asia. Sing, O heavens, and be joyful, O earth, and break forth into singing, O mountains. For Yahweh hath comforted his people, and will have mercy upon his afflicted. But Yehuda said, Yahweh hath forsaken me, and my Adonai hath forgotten me. Can a woman forget her sucking child, that she should not have compassion on the son of her womb? Yea, they may forget, yet will I not forget you. Behold, I have graven you upon the palms of my hands. Your walls are continually before me. Your children shall make haste, your destroyers, and they that made you waste shall go forth of you. Lift up your eyes round about, and behold, all these gather themselves together and come to you. As I live, says Yahweh, you shall surely clothe you with them all, as with an ornament, and bind them on you as a bride does. And your desolate places, and the land of your destruction, shall even now be too narrow by reason of the inhabitants, and they that swallowed you up shall be far away. The children which you shall have after you have lost the other shall say again in your ears, the place is too strait for me. Give place to me that I may dwell. Then shall you say in your heart, who hath begotten me these? Seeing I have lost my children, and am desolate, a captive, and removing to and fro. And who have brought up these? Behold, I was left alone. These, where had they been? Thus says the Adonai Elohim. Behold, I will lift up mine hand to the Euro-Gentiles, and set up my standards to the people, and they shall bring your sons in their arms, and your daughters shall be carried upon their shoulders. And kings shall be thy nursing fathers, and their queens thy nursing mothers. They shall bow down to you with their face toward the earth, and lick up the dust of your feet. And you shall know that I am Yahweh, for they shall not be ashamed. Shall the prey be taken from the mighty, or the lawful captive delivered? Thus says Yahweh, even the captives of the mighty taken away, and the prey of the terrible shall be delivered. For I will contend with him that contends with you, and I will save your children. And I will feed them that oppress you with their own flesh, and they shall be drunken with their own blood as with sweet wine, and all flesh shall know that I, Yahweh, am your Savior and your Redeemer, the mighty one of Yaakov.
Okay, my brother, chapter 53 and verse 1 through verse 12. Isaiah chapter 53 and verse 1 through verse 12. Go ahead, brother. Well, even in our current lives today, so whatever you get out, it's going to come back to you. Whatever goes around, must come back around. All righteousness is visited, as well as all sin is visited. Sometimes we can find all kinds of excuses we want to find to not do what we're supposed to do. You wish that meant what legacy and see our present condition and circumstances to let us know he meant what he said. And he's going to recompense our ways to our own bosom. And we're going to, before this thing go down, all of us are going to be saying, blessed is he that comes in the name of Yahweh. Separate. There are things that we're supposed to do with our own personal cleansing. You know, chapter 53 and verse 1 through verse 12.
Who have believed our report, and to whom is the arm of Yahweh revealed? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root. He have no form, nor comeliness, and when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. Surely he hath borne our griefs and carried our sorrows, yet we did esteem him stricken, smitten of Elohim, and afflicted.
Now, a lot of people going to get off into this as David, but none of this never happened to Dawid. None of this never took place with Dawid. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 5. But he was wounded for our transgressions, he was bruised for our iniquities. The chastisement of our peace was upon him, and with his stripes we are healed. All we like sheep have gone astray. We have turned everyone to his own way, and Yahweh have laid on him the iniquity of us all.
For past sins. For what come up after that, you will have to stand in judgment for. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 7. He was oppressed, and he was afflicted, yet he opened not his mouth. He is brought as a lamb to the slaughter, and as a sheep before her shearers is dumb, so he openeth not his mouth.
One ruler said, man, don't you answer me? So I ask you a question, don't you answer me? Don't you know I have the power to release you or destroy you? You say you wouldn't have no power over me at all if it wasn't given me. You're my father. He said, you say I'm a king, and that I am. Right on the money, didn't he? Didn't show any fear. See? When Master get to breathing up against us, see, we show a little fear because we scared of these jobs we're going to lose. Right. We ain't got no faith. Go on and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 8. He was taken from prison and from judgment and generation. For he was cut off out of the land of the living. For the transgression of my people was he stricken. And he made his grave with the wicked and with the rich in his death, because he had done no violence, neither was any deceit in his mouth. Yet it pleased Yahweh to bruise him, he hath put him to grief. When thou shalt make his soul an offering for sin, he shall see his seed, he shall prolong his days, and the pleasure of Yahweh shall prosper in his hand.
Praise Yah.
He shall see of the travail of his soul, and shall be satisfied. By his knowledge shall my righteous servant justify many, for he shall bear their iniquity. Therefore will I divide him a portion with the great, and he shall divide the spoil with the strong, because he hath poured out his soul unto death, and he was numbered with the transgressors, and he bare the sin of many, and made intercession for the transgressors.
61 and verse 1 through 62 and 12. Chapter 61 and verse 1 through chapter 62 and 12.
Who came with that? Individual that
They can't find one. They can't find one from the time that man was created upon earth. They can't find one brother that came along and did this, you see. But folks just don't want to deal with this thing here because and it's simply because Yahweh has chosen that they didn't hear it. You know why? Because of what's in their heart. And then, too, you don't know what their fathers did. Okay? Okay. That's why we have to be careful, because we don't know what our fathers did, you know. So, chapter 61, and pick that up at verse 1.
The spirit of the Adonai Elohim is upon me, because Yahweh have anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He hath sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of Yahweh, and the day of vengeance of our Elohim, to comfort all that mourn, to appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, to give unto them beautiful ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called the trees of righteousness, the planting of Yahweh, that he might be glorified.
Praise Yah.
And they shall build the oasis, they shall raise up the former desolations, and they shall repair the waste cities, the desolations of many generations. As strangers shall stand and feed your flocks, and the son of the alien shall be your plowmen and your vine dressers. But you shall be named the priest of Yahweh. Men shall call you the ministers of our Elohim. You shall eat the riches of the Euro-Gentiles, and in their glory shall you boast yourself.
Now their riches and their glory is their technology now. And let's understand that. And the world is swiftly advancing and getting more highly technical, and all of these things. This is why, see, this is another reason why the Gentiles are going to be, once the earth is set up, Yahweh's giving these things to the Gentiles for a reason, so that we would use them to do the things that they need to do in this kingdom, to make the kingdom, to help us make the kingdom a glorious kingdom. That's when the brotherhood of man will become a reality, simply because they will be living for us, and we will be living to help them. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 7. For your shame you shall have double, and for confusion they shall rejoice in their portion. Therefore in their land they shall possess the double. Everlasting joy shall be unto them.
Everlasting joy is going to be upon the nations, right? Once Israel is put in place. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 8. Yahweh love judgment. I hate robbery for burnt offering, and I will direct their work in truth, and I will make an everlasting covenant with them. And their seed shall be the Euro-Gentiles, and their offspring among the people. See, them shall acknowledge them that they are the seed which Yahweh hath blessed. I will greatly rejoice in Yahweh. My soul shall be joyful in my Elohim. For he hath clothed me with the garments of salvation. He hath covered me with the robe of righteousness, as a bridegroom deck himself with ornaments, and as a bride adorns herself with her jewels. For as the earth brings forth her bud, and as the garden causes the things that are sown in it to spring forth, so the Adonai will cause righteousness and praise to spring forth before all the nations. For Yehuda's sake will I not hold my peace, and for Jerusalem's sake I will not rest, until the righteousness thereof go forth as brightness, and the salvation thereof as a lamp that burneth. And the Euro-Gentiles shall see thy righteousness, and all kings thy glory. And thou shalt be called by a new name, which the mouth of Yahweh shall name.
Now, folks say, well, see, this is Christian. See, that's what they say. This is Christian. He's talking about after the kingdom is set up, we're going to be called by a new name. Go ahead and read, brother. The same people that call us Christians call us a whole lot of other names right now. Yeah. And it's going to get worse than that. But go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 3. Thou shalt also be a crown of glory in the hand of Yahweh, and a royal diadem in the hand of thy Elohim. Thou shalt no more be termed forsaken, neither shall thy land any more be termed desolate, but thou shalt be called Hephzibah, and thy land Beulah, for Yahweh in you, and your land shall be married. For as a young man marries a virgin, so shall your sons marry you. And as the bridegroom rejoices over the bride, so shall he rejoice over you. I have set watch, O Jerusalem, which shall never day nor night. You that make mention of Yahweh, keep not silence, and give him no rest, until he make Jerusalem a the earth. Yahweh have sworn by his right hand and by the arm of his strength. Surely I will no more give your corn to be meat for your enemies, and the sons of the strangers shall not drink your wine, for the which you have labored. But they that have gathered it shall eat it and praise Yahweh. And they that have brought it together shall drink it in the courts of my holiness. Go through the gates. Prepare you the way of the people. Cast up the highway. Gather out the stones. Lift up a standard for the people. Behold, Yahweh hath proclaimed unto the end of the world. Say you to the daughter of Yehuda, behold, your salvation comes. Behold, his reward is with him, and his work before him. He shall call them the holy people, the redeemed of Yahweh, and you shall be called sought out, a city not forsaken.
Okay, my brother, now let's go into Yirmiyahu. Let's go into Yirmiyahu, and we're going to pick this up at verse chapter 30 and verse 1 through chapter 31 and verse 40. Jeremiah chapter 30 and verse 1 through chapter 31 and verse 40. Had a lot of couple young folk that hasn't been in the congregation here too long, a lot of things they didn't understand, so I guess they can understand these things now, how the foundation was laid. This is what we're dealing with, the foundation. Jeremiah chapter 31 and verse 1 through chapter 30 and verse 1 rather, through chapter 31 and verse 40. Regardless of what man comes out of man's mouth, in regards to what he go here and read, if he can't read it in context, then leave it alone. Leave it alone.
It said that y'all be true and every amount of lie I just written, word for word, that you might overcome them in your judge. So the right. Say, but you run your mouth, right?
Right.
And we add that precept on precept.
Right, see, that's why I'm going into that. I heap to myself, teachers having each of the ears and finding some new thing to do. See, that's what Jake likes. Jake likes something new. See, something ain't nobody else do. Well, see, who did you get that from? I got that off the internet. Who did you get it from? I got it from so-and-so. Do you know anything about that person? Well, no, but it just seems like, right? We're going to kill you another lamb. Jeremiah 30. And pick that up at verse 1, my brother.
Yirmiyahu chapter 30.
Yeah, in verse 1. Chapter 31 and verse 40.
The word that came to Yirmiyahu from Yahweh, saying, Thus speaks Yahweh Elohim of Yisrael, saying, Write you all the words that I have spoken unto you in a book. For lo, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will bring again the captivity of my people, Yisrael and Yehudah, says Yahweh, and I will cause them to return to the land that I gave to their fathers, and they shall possess it.
And every man will be returning to his own land, and every man will dwell among his own people. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 4. And these are the words that Yahweh spake concerning Yisrael and concerning Yehudah. For thus says Yahweh, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask you now, and see whether a man doth travail with child. Why do I see every man with his hands on his loins as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness? Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of trouble, but he shall be saved out of it.
This is after Lucifer is thrown out of heaven in Revelation chapter and come to make war with us, right? Go ahead, brother.
Verse 8. For it shall come to pass in that day, says Yahweh of hosts, that I will break your neck and will burst your bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him, but they shall serve Yahweh their Elohim, and Dawid their king, whom I will raise up unto them. Therefore fear you not, O my servant Yaakov, says Yahweh, neither be dismayed, O Israel. For lo, I will save you from afar, and from and Yaakov shall return and shall be quiet, and none shall make him afraid. For I am with you, says Yahweh, to save you. Though I make a full end of all nations, whither I have scattered thee, yet will I not make a full end of thee. But I will correct thee in measure, and will not leave thee altogether unpunished.
I'm going to correct you in measure, and I'm not going to leave you unpunished. In other words, the things that we've been getting off into, that we think we've been getting away with, you know, no chastening at times seems great. But see, but then when we receive that chastisement, what it does, it brings forth the things that it's supposed to bring. So we are not receiving these chastisements now. We're going to receive them later on. They're going to come. The thing of it is, we will be able to withstand the chastisement. Yeah, a lot of people ain't going to be able to withstand this thing, brother, that's going to go down upon us, because we're doing too good right now. We don't understand it. See, we don't want to suffer for Yahweh's sake. We're going to wait until we are forced to suffer. Well, you got to do these things now. The Messiah came on the scene suffering for the people, didn't he? Okay, we got to do the same thing. That's why he told us to be you followers of me. If we live according to the ways of the strangers today, then we're gonna suffer what? We're gonna suffer the curses that's gonna be carried out upon the stranger. We've been cursed long enough and did things according to what we learned from the nation. This is why the nation, now we have to put ourselves in the position of where the nation learn from us, not just by the words that come out of our mouth, but by what they see in us. See, what they see in us. But when the nation see us acting just like them, what do they want to learn from us? Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Yirmiyahu chapter 30, verse 12. For thus says Yahweh, thy bruise is incurable, and thy wound is grievous. There is none to plead thy cause, that thou mayest be bound up. Thou hast no healing medicines. All thy lovers have forgotten thee. They seek thee not. For I have wounded thee with the wound of an enemy, with the chastisement of a cruel one, for the multitude of thine iniquity, because thy sins were increased.
Right. And we came over here to show you that when we came over here, they considered a human being. Check that out. When you look on TV today, we still 1/5 of a human being. Go ahead and read.
Yeah, and seeing what's going on with these brothers, it's often that interracial thing. OJ, what that European had out in front of his restaurant the other day, he said, why did Michael Jackson get off? Because is he a nigga or is he a monkey? See, they get a little fed up with that, brother.
Maybe he's both. Yeah, go ahead and read, brother.
Yeah.
I don't know nothing about Michael Jackson, man.
Yeah, it's been all on television.
The only thing he put out that I liked was that album he did with Quincy Jones. That's the only one. Everything else he could have kept, Jack. I was grown when Michael Jackson was a little kid singing, so.
But the kicker to it, the NAACP want to come down there and make him take that sign off. And he say he talk about his own people just like he do anybody else. He say he just criticizes anybody. It's under the Constitution. He got a right to do what he's doing.
Well, why don't they go on Western Avenue in Chicago and over there in Klan territory and make them take down that sign they got on the side of that building and say no niggas allowed? Yeah. Go ahead and read, man.
Yes, sir. Yirmiyahu chapter 30, verse 15. Why cry you for your affliction? Your sorrow, is incurable for the multitude of your iniquity. Because your sins were increased, I have done these things unto you. Therefore, all they that devour you shall be devoured, and all your adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity. And they that spoil you shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon you will I give for a prey. For I will restore health unto you, and I will heal you of your wounds, says Yahweh, because they call you an outcast, saying, this is Zion, whom no man seeks out.
And we know, don't nobody come in our neighborhood and stay in our neighborhood unless they're forced to, because we're a lawless, self-willed, self-governed people. Go ahead and read, brother.
Verse 18. Thus says Yahweh, behold, I will bring again the captivity of Jacob's tents, and the city shall be builded upon her own heap, and the palace shall remain after the manner thereof. And out of them shall proceed thanksgiving, and the voice of them that make merry. And I will multiply be few. I will also glorify them, and they shall not be small. Their children also shall be as aforetime, and their congregation shall be established before me, and I will punish all that oppress them. And their nobles shall be of themselves, and their governor shall proceed from the midst of them, and I will cause him to draw near, and he shall approach unto me. For who is this that engages hard to approach unto me? I thought your tape went off. I'm sorry. Verse 22. And you shall be my people, and I will be your Elohim. Behold, the whirlwind of Yahweh goes forth with fury, a continuing whirlwind. It shall fall with pain upon the head of the wicked. The fierce anger of Yahweh shall not return until he have done it, and until he have performed the intents of his heart. In the latter days you shall consider it. At the same time, says Yahweh, will I be the Elohim of all the families of Israel, and they shall be my people.
Now the nation was grafted into our tree, so the nations will truly be his people once he set up this kingdom, right? Okay, go ahead, brother.
Verse 2. Thus says Yahweh, the people which were left of the sword found grace in the wilderness, even Israel, when I went to cause him to rest. Yahweh have appeared of old unto me, saying, Yea, I have loved thee with an everlasting love. Therefore with loving kindness have I drawn thee. Again, I will build thee, and thou shalt be built, O virgin of Israel. You shall again be adorned with your tablets, and shall go forth in the dances of them that make merry. You shall yet plant vines upon the mountains of Samaria. The planter shall plant, and shall eat them as common things. For there shall be a day that the watchman upon the Mount Ephraim shall cry, Arise ye, and let us go up to Zion unto Yahweh our Elohim. For thus says Yahweh, Sing with gladness for Jacob, and shout among the chief of the nations, publish you, praise you, and say, O Yahweh, save your people, the remnant of Israel. Behold, I will bring them from the north country and gather them from the coast of the earth, and with them the blind and the lame, the woman with child, and her that travails with child together. A great company shall return thither. They shall come with weeping, and with supplications will I lead them. I will cause them to walk by the rivers of waters in a straight way, wherein they shall not stumble. For I am a father to Israel, and Ephraim is my firstborn. Hear the word of Yahweh, O you nations, and declare it in the isles afar off, and say, He that scattered Israel will gather him and keep him, as a shepherd does his flock. For Yahweh hath redeemed Jacob, and ransomed him from the hand of him that was stronger than he. Therefore they shall come and sing in the height of Zion, and shall flow together to the goodness of Yahweh, for wheat, and for wine, and for oil, and for the young of the flock, and of the herd, and their soul shall be as a watered garden, and they shall not suffer any more at all. Then shall the virgin rejoice, young men and old together, for I will turn their mourning into joy, and will comfort them, and make them rejoice from their sorrow.
Right. Once these things, so we can very well see that once these things are set up, things are going to be done in righteousness. This is why it talks about us having virgins and so forth and so on. Nowadays, with the system of things, with us learning the ways of the heathen, we don't have no old maids no more. Maids are virgins. The only way you're going to get a cherry today is in the grocery store in a jar. So Yahweh is going to set these things up again. Well, it's the system of things. We all know it. I mean, sex is the symbol of the day. I mean, everybody go out. When somebody meets somebody, the first thing a brother do is say, man, I want to slay this sister. That's the first thing that come on our minds, simply because we've learned the ways of strangers, and we haven't learned how to court women yet. See, the only thing we've learned how to do is slay them. Yeah. Go ahead and read, brother.
Yes, sir. Verse 14. And I will saturate the soul of the priest with fatness, and my people shall be satisfied with my goodness, says Yahweh. Thus says Yahweh, a voice was heard in Ramah, lamentation and bitter weeping. Rachel weeping for her children refused to become children because they were not.
Let's skip down to verse 21.
Yes, sir. Set thee up, way mobs, high heaps, sat down hard toward the highway, went, turn again, O virgin of Israel, turn again to these your cities. How long will you go about, O you backsliding daughter? For Yahweh have created a new thing in the earth, a woman shall compass a man. Thus says Yahweh of hosts, the Elohim of Israel. As yet they shall use this speech in the land of Yehuda and in the cities thereof, when I shall bring again their captivity. Yahweh bless you, O habitation of justice and mountain of holiness. And there shall dwell in Yehuda itself, in all the cities thereof, together farmers and they that go forth with flocks. For I have saturated the weary souls, and I have replenished every sorrowful soul. Upon this I awake and beheld, and my sleep was sweet unto me. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will sow the house of Israel and the house of Yehudah with the seed of man and with the seed of beast. And it shall come to pass that like as I have watched over them to pluck up and to break down and to throw down and to destroy and to afflict, so will I watch over them to build and to plant, says Yahweh. In those days they shall say no more, the fathers have eaten a sour grape, and the children's teeth are set on edge. But everyone shall die for his own iniquity. Every man that eats the sour grape, his teeth shall be set on edge. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Yehudah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they broke, although I was an husband unto them, says Yahweh. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, says Yahweh, I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. And they shall teach no more every man his neighbor and every man his brother, saying, Know Yahweh. For they shall all know me, from the least of them unto the greatest of them, says Yahweh. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sin no more. Thus says Yahweh, which gives the sun for a light by day, and the ordinances of the moon and of the stars for a light by night, which divides the sea when the waves thereof roll. Yahweh of hosts is his name. If those ordinances depart from before me, says Yahweh, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever.
Okay, now seeing he said this, the nation say, well, Yahweh cast y'all off and turn to the Gentiles. I find something wrong with that. And you know what? Really interesting in letting me know the power of my Creator, to see how our people are so caught up into this thing that when you read to them about their own heritage, they tell you what they think and what they believe. You know, well, there's no respect of persons with God. I say, right, as many as have sinned without law are going to die without law. But who he made his covenants with? Well, they made his covenants with the Gentiles, to show me one. Ain't there some brothers think they Gentiles? Now, how much deeper can the curse be than one nation of people thinking they're another nation of people?
Yeah, but I asked this guy on my job, he's one of those Pentecostal preachers, and I asked him what was a Gentile. Who were the Gentiles? He said, me. That's a tricky question. Read it here. It says, I said, well, you got to go back to the beginning and find out who you were. You belong. It was a nation that you came out of. Your son, but he said it's a trick question.
And you know what? Having Yahweh preserved the strangers, although look at the things they've done to us. Haven't he showed he loved the strangers?
That's right.
Huh? That's why he's going to save them all. He created all. Yahweh's the God of all flesh, and he's created all. But a lot of folks think that, well, we created the white man from the black man, so they're going to be off the face of the earth. I mean, how did they get a lie like that? But it shows you the depth of the curse that our people are under today, brother. Right. And for that reason, it shows you that their names are not written in the Lamb's Book of Life, and they're going to be cut off and die. But go ahead and read, brother.
Jeremiah that the Gentiles inherited rights, and then it also said that the lad has come up off the ticket, the destroyer of the Gentiles on his verse. Now they ain't dealing with those Gentiles and be, the life that they're coming forth with. Right?
Correct. You're absolutely correct. Go ahead and finish your story.
Yeah. You got a situation where you got the missionaries, from Africa, and talk to the boy, supposedly. Now you got them coming over and teaching how to come to the community. The Africans will teach. See, now I'm wondering, what's the deal on this thing? They sell us into captivity. Now you're going to come back over here and try to teach us the word of God. I got a problem with that.
Correct. And I'll tell you something else that's happening over in Africa too, brother. When you look at these documentaries, the Roman Catholic Church is going in leaps and bounds. You know why? Them Gentiles get ready to go over and take that thing over, brother. once this beast is set in place, they're going to take this whole thing over. They're going to rule all of the nation with the rod of iron. Yeah. And the people are going to love it so. Yeah. But go ahead and finish up, Steve.
Yirmiyahu, chapter 31, verse 37. Thus says Yahweh, if heaven above can be measured, and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, I will also cast off all the seed of Israel for all that they have done, says Yahweh. Behold, the days come, says Yahweh, that the city shall be built to Yahweh from the tower of Hananiel unto the gate of the corner. And the measuring line shall yet go forth over against it upon the hill, and shall compass about to Goad. And the whole valley of the dead bodies and of the ashes, and all the fields unto the brook of Kidron, unto the corner of the horse gate toward the east, shall be holy unto Yahweh. It shall not be plucked up, nor thrown down any more forever.
Amen and amen. As we see, a seed of David would be born to a virgin that would pour out his blood unto death, that Israel would be redeemed. Not only so, but the Redeemer would be a relative according to the law. He would be without spot or blemish according to the law. He would confirm the new covenant made with our fathers, the 12 tribes, and eventually he would become the God, King, High Priest, deliver his nation from worldwide captivity, and set them up for the rulers of the earth for a millennium, and then forever and ever. And as the Gentiles and all the nation would have peace and prosperity and glorify the God of Israel on this earth. When we study the law, we find that the oracles are not just do's and don'ts, but they were things within the framework that were hidden from our fathers. And those blessings were the liberties that was granted to our nation, that Yahweh's overall purpose concerning man's destiny would be made manifest to us and then to mankind. Seeing that Israel inherited all the covenants Yahweh made, there had to be instructions concerning the priestly duties. And these are the liberties written in Acts, Romans, Hebrews, James, and Peter, which declare our position with Yahweh Elohim of Israel, just as Brother Saul instructs us as to how to exercise our liberties concerning church protocol in his epistles to Timothy. Then in Corinth, Saul explains our gifts and the liberties we have that would edify this family in Yahshua's kingdom, as the Messiah set up as the God, King, High Priest. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to stop right there, because I got 15 more pieces of scripture. So I'm going to stop right there, and what I'll do is next week I'll pick this up. Next week we'll pick this up at 2 Corinthians 14 and verse 4 through 11. But let us consider the things that we read because of today, because Yahweh meant what he said, and like I said, I'm in a series of classes that's going to set up things the way that Yahweh said and not according to man. So be careful of the things we read, brothers and sisters, because Yahweh, our Elohim, is a consuming fire. So it's been said, so let it be written. Even so come, Lord Yahshua, and save us.